Hello and welcome to Astro Humaniora podcast. Astro Humaniora is a discussion group that provides camps, gatherings and lectures for anyone interested. Today we will have the opportunity to listen to Father John, who is going to talk about Trikster shamanism. I'll pass you the mic.
Thank you, Bebo. Thank you, everybody. Glad to be here, good to be here. Great seeing you all. This is an interesting subject, and I gotta say I've given this subject a lot of thought. Yet I haven't written anything down, as the subject itself is called Trikster shamanism, and the trickster is like it's. To me, writing a speech down and then reciting it verbatim, word for word here is like, well, truth be told, it's a bit boring. It's not, it's pre-planned, it's predetermined, it's like...
It's anti-trickster.
It's anti-trickstery, thank you very much. Petri, wasn't it? Thank you, Petri. You are absolutely right. It doesn't work, the trickster. The trickster doesn't do that. But I had what I thought I had been thinking about at the start is like to go through like what is a shaman? And like because this is not there's a lot of debate over the subject of what is a shaman, and I'm not gonna even try to give a definite answer because it seems that there's a lot of different points of view and different theories and blah 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 blah. Yeah. But the very etymology, meaning of the word shaman means Sha, to see, a man who sees. So a wise man, a sage, someone who knows. Of course, women can be shamans as well. It's really not gender specific in that sense. Although there is like the definite a gender aspect within the shaman archetype, the idea of the shaman, and I will get to that in a second, a bit later. But a couple of good definitions, descriptions over what a shaman is that I've stumbled across, I remember hearing from one shaman source that, like in the jungle, they talk that there's 3 different kinds of shaman. One is the healer, he who heals, the doctor of his people. The other shaman is someone who casts spells, does like curses, potion spells, like ritualistic magic. And then there is the counselor, the sage, the wise woman, the one you go to for counsel. And in these cultures, the shaman is very bound to the tribe as well. It's like often they talk about that the shaman is a title given to a person by the tribe. This, however, makes it very difficult in the modern, more urbanistic Western societies to say, because we don't have tribes anymore in the same way. We have tribalism and we have different groups and factions, but they are maybe not spiritual in that sense. And this is also the realm of the shaman, is the realm of the spirit. The shaman, especially the counselor shaman, the wise shaman, is the nurturer of the soul, the priest of the people. but what is a shaman in like a, shall we say, more of a Western urban lifestyle, maybe more secular lifestyle, and this I would like to quote as much as I can remember the quote by Alan Moore, a like writer, an artist, and self-described shaman and a ritualistic magician. And if you haven't familiar with his work, it's amazing. It's like it contains graphic novels like V for Vendetta, From Hell, Watchmen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and a lot of more. His book Promethea is a real occultistic ABC where you go through story, like a story of what is can a story have a life like that's exists outside of the author or the reader. Like he plays with this idea, and then he goes into where he explains in a comic book form, like really in an adventure comic book, a young woman's journey through from writing about a superhero, and then going through the path of the tarot, learning the tarot, and traveling the Kabbalah, and becoming a superhero, a.g. her enlightened self. And so to all interested in occultism and magic and shamanism, I highly recommend this Promethea by Alan Moore.
What is the name of the book?
Promethea. Like Prometheus, but a feminized version of Prometheus.
Okay.
And Alan Moore said that like here we go once again into the world of magic. And this is also like, this is, I think, the magical aspect of the shaman is, well, maybe easily overrated, but still definitely a significant part of the shaman's work. And Alan Moore describes magic as the study of, the oldest word for magic is art. Directly translated as the art, and that this is a literal thing. So magic is the study of symbols and methods by which we, through art, generate change in consciousness. And I would like to add into this. No, I'm not going to do that. But like that, therefore, and he said the study of symbols and ways and constructs by which we create change in consciousness. And the art of story, to spell, to cast a spell, know how to spell. Grimoire, a book of spells, is actually a fancy way of saying, means in Latin grammar, a book of grammar, e.g. how to talk properly, how to talk with the rules of the so that the universe listens, so that you attract the attention of whatever it is that listens to, hears everything. And thus we are beginning to cast a spell. And I would like to add my personal touch into this, that a good magician is someone who is aware of this, and therefore is also aware of what it is that what kind of like, or as much as possible aware of what is the intention, what is the direction by which he wants to change the flow of the stream of consciousness, and like what is the direction we go. And here comes to another, in my opinion, a very, very good description of a shaman that I saw in a documentary about ayahuasca a couple of years back, where they interviewed the shaman and asked him the very question. And he said that the shaman is a shepherd for the future. And this was something that I was remember stuck with me. How that this has always been the realm of the art, to sort of see the world as it is, and to go for it. To see, to smell which way, what the word, hello. To smell where the wind is blowing from and where the wind is going to, and to sort of feel what is best for the collective and the individual, because these are not separate, the collective consciousness and the individual consciousness, as above, so below. One is more, it's like the same as above, so below. One reflects like an inner point of view, the individual consciousness, what the individual is conscious about, and then the collective consciousness, which is like the much larger scale of consciousness. This is a hologram of the as above, so below phenomenon. The as above, the conscious mind, so below the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is what I'm conscious about within myself, the unconscious about in a collective sense, what is happening on earth, what is happening in the sky. There's they mirror one another. And a shaman is also said, I don't know, but said to have two souls. One to navigate his own inner world, and one that navigates the collective world. It's basically someone who is attuned with himself and his surroundings at the same time. Is one definition of it. As I said, that women are shamans. There's no doubts. There's really no biological gender factor in that issue. But here is once again this. There's a spiritual or energetic, or how you want to define it, genders structure within this. And once again here I'm going to refer to Alan Moore again, and magicians are per definition male, whether they be male or female. They are the ones who seek to penetrate the mystery. However, once they do, they become the mystery, and thus the male becomes female. So a shaman, a witch, is also a man or a woman who has embraced or is in tune with his or her feminine side, the feeling side, the more subconscious side of our psyche. And whereas the male is the more conscious, the actor, the acting part of our psyche. So in magical terms, the magician is a man who, like a knight of Arthur, rides with his phallus, the lance, forwards into the unknown, searching for the grail, the feminine aspect. Thus, in order to become female, and thus embodying the mystery. Give me a moment here. Thus becoming one with the mystery. It's a heavy subject. It's fun. The mystery that is. What is the mystery? Well, the mystery is the space, the sacred space, the space that's all around, and there's the father time, mother space, the two aspects of the universe, the from which that gives birth to all things possible. And a shaman, a magician, is someone who steps into the sacred space, knowing, just like Luke Skywalker walks into the cave on Dagobah in Empire Strikes Back, and he asks Yoda, "What will I find there?" And Yoda says, "Only what you carry within." And then Luke Skywalker takes his lightsaber and goes, and Yoda tells him, "You don't need that," but he takes it anyway, and he encounters Darth Vader. And like they have a big fight, and Luke Skywalker chops the head off Darth Vader. Head rolls. Darth Vader. Darth Vader, eh? Thank you for the correction. Darth Vader. Yes, and Luke Skywalker encounters Darth Vader and cuts his head off, and the head rolls off, and the mask falls off, and it reveals it's Luke Skywalker's own face. And this is like when a confrontation. Luke Skywalker confronts the shadow. He learns that Darth Vader is his shadow self, his own repressed anger, his own repressed dark emotions that he doesn't want to feel or encounter, and hates Darth Vader for making him feel those things. And it's actually not until Return of the Jedi, when Luke Skywalker defeats Darth Vader in the lightsaber duel and feels the beating of his pulse and the desire to kill him, but decides to spare him, and then turns to face the Emperor and says that I am a Jedi. And that is when he becomes a Jedi, when he decides to confront his own anger, and instead of acting upon it, he decides to forgive. I know that this might not be I've gone a little bit from one place to the other in my description of the shaman, but thank you. Basically, in tribal societies, the shaman is someone who is selected by the tribe, a title given to you by the tribe. But we do not have this anymore. So returning to Alan Moore, to see the shaman as someone who, through the art, magic, storytelling, paintings, music, you name it, we got it, stirs the collective consciousness into a direction which I hope the magician, the artist, the shaman feels is a good direction, a good flow. This is at least what generates what we would, in New Age terminology, call a white witch, a good shaman, a light worker, or so forth. However, this is not all shamans are not that. In the tribal societies, in warlike tribal societies, there are shamans who specialize in kill spells, death spells, curses. I was contacted by one from Africa who had a long list of things he could put into spells, including deaths and curses, and
That sounds like business.
yeah, it's probably a good business. Might be, don't know. Yes, why not? Let's turn our enemies into frogs. There's been a lot of stories about very archetypal stories, and a lot of stories about rivaling magician casting spells upon one another and trying to outcurse one another. I think Aleister Crowley had a famous magical beef with Helena Blavatsky, the founder of the Theosophy Society.
Ooh.
I think if I,
Archetypes. Those are really cool.
yes, that we're gonna go into archetypes as well, and like here, because the realm of the archetype, the Jungian realm of the archetype, where we encounter all these really bizarre and interesting characters, like.
Archetype is like a god.
Maybe. It's no. It's maybe. It's a good. It's a.
Nicely.
It's a good. It's a good. No, it's a good. It's a good analogy. I'm like mostly on the same page, like almost completely. I always leave a little bit wiggle. No, I wouldn't. I could even consider calling them gods in the sense like that they're building blocks, like foundation stones of like the psyche, the collective psyche, and I'm gonna get into especially the trickster and the shapeshifter here, like soon. And what?
Something about reminding me of like shamanism, like when, like, you also like you can say like, okay, you said like can live in two different worlds right
Yep.
now, right here.
Yep.
And also you can go into the other world.
Yes.
And like in Finnish can say like alinen ja ylinen.
Kyllä.
Tai niinku,
Kyllä.
I don't know in English.
No, yeah. Basically, the
Can
under.
like,
Yeah.
learn from those worlds, like I think that's also shamanism.
It's definitely is. It definitely is. This is the same parable of the as above, so below, the ordinary world and the underworld.
Yeah, and you also somehow can like navigate in both worlds.
Exactly.
Be aware at the same time. Like
Yes.
Here and there somehow.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. You like that's exactly it.
Different or separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
That's
same
exactly.
time or- yeah.
That's exactly it. Oh, so trickster shamanism. It's okay. Not gonna do that now. The trickster at the sort of. Thinking how I'm. I probably should explain the trickster god first. And now we're entering the realm of the archetypes. The trickster is like, yes, he's a god and he's an archetype. He's in the Viking mythology, he's Loki. In Egyptian mythology, he's Set. In the South American religions, he's Quetzalcoatl. No, sorry, he's Coyote. Sorry, not he's Coyote. He's the Coyote god. In the Lakota tradition, I think they call him the evil Heyoka spirit. He's the spider god. He comes in many forms, many shapes, and he's androgynous. He can be both male and female at the same time, or shapeshifter, old and young. And normally, in like when the trickster acts from a subconscious aspect of our psyche, the trickster causes problems in our daily lives. He is the one who drives our attention away from God, and God is like presence, the presence in grace, in love, and like here and now without all this, where all is good. There's no need.
So basically like a troll.
Well, yeah. Bebo had this question here, like some while back, like where he asked this, "Hey, you guys," and like, yeah, when the trickster acts from the subconscious, from the shadow side of our psyche. He is a destructive force. He laughs at like what is sacred. He pushes people's buttons just to get a reaction, just to like maybe even piss them off because
Just because.
a little bit just because. We'll get to actually why in a bit as well. Yes, there's a joke there. And yeah, it's partly because it's I wrote a story about about the trickster god here, and in that the trickster spirit causes a lot of trouble, and one of his lines in this play is when I'm in a bad mood, everybody is in a bad mood. And this is how the trickster works. When he's in a bad mood, he is like, misery loves company. He's like, no, fuck you all. I hate you. I hate the world. I hate, want to do drugs and like fuck prostitutes and like masturbate because I'm bored and like. And Yep, that's Trikster and dopamine depletion. But when in the silence, when the shaman like really, or shall we say the trickster shaman, because I'm not convinced that all shamans really have learned how to do this, to like completely silence the mind and start because in this silence you can start, it's possible to start feeling a gentle smile behind when you start noticing that the thoughts come almost on automatic, and you can observe them and a little bit feel and see what kind of responses you get from them. And at some point there is a possibility that you might feel that there's something really funny in this realm of thought, within this realm of consciousness, when you're just sort of observing your own mind and your own reactions like you would observe a theater play, perhaps. And there's something very funny in that. And when I first felt it, I remember during a ceremony, I was sitting and I had my finger, I really wanted to sing during the ceremony, but every time I was gonna, felt like now I'm gonna sing, my hand came almost like on auto, came on like intuitively up to my like mouth, and my finger was there and just going like in the gesture of shush, like shush, be quiet, hush, be quiet. And I sat for a good couple of hours with just the finger in front of my mouth, and I felt like within this gesture of holding my finger upon my mouth, the gesture indicating silence, that within this gesture and in the silence of it, like this command to myself to be silent was a smile, a quite like smile, that there was something like some like not me, not any conscious part of me, but there was something like that was going like the feeling was that there was within this smile was a feeling that sort of seemed to say that there's something secret and really funny here.
I get that. So
Aki gets this.
So get it.
Aki gets this. Yeah. Aki's a bit of a trickster.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
I've been told.
Yes, you are.
It's like listening to salmiak. Imeskellä hitaasti. Mikä se on?
I think the sucking on the salmiak is a topic for another time. That's a never-ending story.
Never-ending story. I'd love to hear more. We might return to this, actually. So once again, this was when I started feeling like, however, when I did this in the ceremony and I sat there, I started going like, feel that this was when the trickster started becoming like like I felt felt his presence. I started seeing him from the light side, and that was when I started realizing he's a joker. He is the jester in the court of the gods. He's the fool among the gods, who might very well be the smartest of the lot. Like because in all the stories, he messes with them all. The high gods, the low gods, the humans, the dwarves, the giants, the trolls. No one is like safe from the trickster.
It's like sex that is like wrong.
The what?
Quote unquote. Sex that is wrong, quote unquote.
Sex that is wrong. Let's. I've been there. Yes, I think we know that. Naughty. So yes, the trickster is the court jester of the pantheon of the gods, or the and within the jester, I mean, the jester is like within the stories of the jester or the fool, the village idiot, maybe the fool is another secret, and that is the fact that the fool, the village idiot, the court jester, is only on appearances insane or a fool. Beneath this, his carefree, like not getting caught up on anything, is like actually what might be like technically an enlightened being. And this is like within like a lot of folk stories from around the world tell stories about village idiots who trick demons, and even Satan himself is like being often in many stories tricked by the village idiot. And I've also fairly recently, a couple of months ago, was told that among the Orthodox saints were a good couple who were like village idiots. And so basically, the village idiot, the court jester, the Orthodox saints, they all channel, like they're sort of in a tune with the trickster spirit, or they're aware of his presence, and thus they basically know that like we don't have to act upon what the trickster wants, what the ego wants. What we do not need to act upon what the ego wants. The trickster can be seen as another word for the ego. Politics, semantics. But I wrote one poem called Ego the Magician, which goes in the terms like, the ego points at a direction, but it's merely a suggestion. The ego is a magician, you see. You are the reality. Oi. And to like tie this in, like in Finnish, there's a great word for mielihalu, the word mielihalu, which translated into English means wants of the mind or desires of the mind.
An urge.
Urge is like it's not that I wanted to give it a direct translation. Yes, it means an urge, but like I wanted to give it to exemplify that the mind is where the trickster lives, but we are only, I would say we're only half minds, but we might be even less minds than that. But there's at least a whole nother world within our being, within our existence, within our souls, that is not mind, that is body. And this area is this is the area where the trickster tries to steer us away from. because this is the area where we find peace, where we find like really like lasting happiness. The presence, when we're present with our bodies and present in the space and like just there. And however, it's these desires of the minds, the mielihalut, the urges, that try to steer our consciousness away from being in the present, a.g. being in the presence, the great mystery of God. So a trickster shaman is is someone who is in a tune or well versed that the mind contains the mind contains a character who is a liar. A liar, so a liar, he lies. That's the illusions, the lies he tells, like to create the drama he wants because he's bored.
Creating truths.
In a sense, yes, he's revealing, through this drama he creates, he can reveal what lies beneath the surface, which is often like when we're talking about drama and the negative, like it's the shadow aspects. Anger can come out, resentment, bitterness, envy, all these things that like are revealed when the trickster goes, now I've been like, now I'm trying to hold things, or like now I'm being put all this goo and icky stuff has been pushed too much, and I'm just gonna throw it, like all this shit that I got inside, I'm just gonna throw it on all of you because I'm upset and I want everybody to be upset. And because but here is he's a storyteller, he's a artist, an actor, and to really and therefore when the trickster steps into when the shaman or the artist or the magician uses the trickster from its light side, you can create the drama in a form of theater play, or like in the form of jest or in satire, in like any way that creates, instead of just throwing this shit around, you might actually, like an alchemist, transmute the shit into something that inspiring, awakens people and helps them think and feel and connect with themselves. This is, in my humble opinion, I'm not humble, but in my opinion, one of the best and most beautiful forms of magic. I particularly have lately been absolutely in love with stand-up comedians, and there's this show on YouTube that I found that's called This Is Not Happening, and it's stand-up comedian telling true stories, and it's often 10-15 minutes long, and it's often one story, and it's like there's some beautiful stories there. And particularly fall in love with this big man who is called Big J. Oakerson, who has some amazing stories and really like quite depraved one. If you're in the moment of them happening, there's some like quite like what shall we say, slightly disgusting sexual behaviors, a lot of drinking and drug use, like these kind of things that are really like shadowy and dark and not healthy when we're there. But then when we're like sort of, once we've a little bit moved on from them, we can take them and like make jest out of them, make fun, make light out of the darkness. So highly recommend that show as well if you like stand-up comedy.
What was it called?
This Is Not Happening. And So back to the trickster shaman and like a little bit. So the shaman is an artist, an actor, a musician, a singer, a dancer, a sculptor, whatever the form of art is for that particular individual. And the trickster, the trickster shaman, is what is basically the clown of the circus. Is or maybe shall we say the clown and the magician in one package. Often in the circus, the clowns are magicians as well as clowns. They can do like the similar stuff like that the magicians do. And if you ever want to feel something a little bit special, is to put on a silly hat and a clown nose. And just the feel of that, just the feel of doing that, it feels silly. It feels so silly, and you feel silly, and then the challenge is just to dare feel silly and go with it, and you will start acting silly, and you will like the movements of the clown, the way of the talk of the clown will come like almost naturally, and almost like a pure flow, like what is probably a pure flow as reality becomes like fun and playful and silly. Something to play with, something to be silly with. And here is once again the trickster shaman in contrast to the regular shaman. The regular shaman has like makes the place tidy, lights the candles, chants spells from his spell book, or like he sings the songs that he's sung 100 times over and over again. Like all really good stuff, all good all good ways of talking to the spirits, whereas the trickster shaman can like instead of playing a drum, he can kind of like do something completely outside the norms of what basically breaking the patterns and constructualized norm. Basically, what I just did there was I was trying to with a stick beat on my head like it was a drum. It was slightly funny, at least for me. Probably. Thank you, Danuta. Thank you. And thank you. So.
It was so right on. I was thinking,
Thank you. Okay, I felt it. So basically the trickster shaman does things in a tricksy way, like instead of like having this structuralized, formalized way of doing, the trickster shaman will walk into the space and just start playing with what he has, what exists within the space, without maybe like, doing like almost whatever that is like guided by a flow, a like sort of like intuitive movement, because he creates his magic by starting to play with his surroundings. But in the play is something very serious, and that is that especially, and once again, in order for it to be a shaman, someone who does like what is at least, shall we say, beneficial for a tribe. I'm not gonna like. There are dark shamans. There are also probably dark trickster shamans. But if the shaman wants to be a good shaman, a shaman that helps people, a shaman that is both has his surroundings feeling well. Question.
I think actually dark shamans can be good in some way.
No, yeah.
What they're doing is provoking, and when you're provoked, you start to think.
It's
so
true.
Actually, it's like the same as there are no such thing as a bad trip.
Maybe like if you're dealing
It's
with those
it's
also like
it's what it's completely up to what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Your own intention. I mean, that is the alpha and the omega of like the conscious acting. Is what is it that I want to achieve with this?
Like this one quote I like: "As he creates, so he destroys. As he destroys, so he creates."
No, that is beautiful, actually. That is beautiful.
Yeah, like Shiva or one Egyptian god. Please continue.
Yes, I will. I'm thinking. Thank you. And so I'm gonna like. There's one in the North American Indians. There's a tribe called the Lakotas who actually they have the phrase Heiyoka shaman, and I think these are the for them like they kind of saw it. What it was, that it's something like it's a sacred gesture, it's something special. Trickster shamans exists everywhere in all of us, but at least as potential. But the Lakota saw the trickster for shaman for what it was, and they said if a child is sick, take it to the shaman. If the shaman can't help, take it to the Heiyoka. And in the Lakota traditions, the Heiyokas are said to be touched by thunder beings. And how this can be viewed or seen is that the thunder beings, that what the trickster shaman does, like he can fill the space like thunder, like take up really all the space if he wants, like really dominate the general atmosphere of the collectiveness, and or he can like tune down this power and be gentle as an angel, like as a feather in the space as well. He has like he personifies both aspects of on the possibility on the spectrum, like because he's the crying clown, the crying clown. Anyway,
They often talk about the good queen, the good king.
The good king.
Yeah, as in he was a good king. He could have gone monkey.
Yes, the dark side is always present. Yeah. The dark side is always present. We beware the dark side. Anger leads to hatred. Hatred leads to fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hatred, and hatred always leads to the dark side. And it's always present. This is another one of the what the shaman or the trickster shaman. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hatred, and hatred leads to the dark. Always leads to the dark side. Yoda in.
Lust leads to hate. Some games. Four Seasons Korean movie.
Right. Have to hear about that later.
So be brave.
Be brave. Dare to love. Yes.
Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to
The dark side. Yes. However, returning to the Lakota Indians and their trickster shamans, the Heiyoka shamans, they were like in the another reason that the thunder beings are seen is that I heard that it was within the initiation process of the Heiyoka, the trickster shaman, is often like crying like this, like the like how would I say inconsolably, like lohduttomasti in Finnish, crying inconsolably for like hours or even days straight, and this is the same, like it shows their depth of their emotions, the depth of their being, which is the same energy, the same feelings that can like both fill up a space or like not.
It's empty space filled up with whatever comes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here we go. Päästä irti. To let go. The phrase "to let go" in Finnish means päästä irti, which contains a secret. Päästä irti. Let go of the head. Let go of päästä, the head. Let go of the head. Let go of the mind, and here comes let whatever manifests. Then like feel it. Let it come. Let it like surface. Once the mind is empty, like you will start feel like that's when you start feeling. That's when you start feeling. That's when you start feeling, and then the trickster will start explaining the feelings to you, and like you don't. I mean, you can allow him to talk, but you don't have to pay him too much attention, and he's going to try to create you into loops to get you once again away from the present, which contains these feelings. And once we surrender to the feelings, whatever it is as a feeling that might scare us to not feel it or not want to feel it, is just a demon, just a tiny bit of demon. And like worst thing that's gonna happen if you let go is that you're gonna start crying, maybe vomiting or shaking, but like maybe even dancing or laughing. And because what holds us back from really fulfill it, like letting go, like and to let go of the head, let whatever comes, and to what's on the other side of this. Shall we say that we often like, because we are living in a world where we are a little bit like walking, let's be frank, quite frankly, like quite often in quite dark places, and we're not very present, and we like our smokes, we like our drinks, and like we like to do things to get us distracted from feeling, because it's not easy. It's not easy to navigate in this world of and with desires and lusts and needs that have mostly been unmet from as children. We've not been seen or heard, and thus creating us with a almost constant sense of like what would be a good word for not feeling calm or at peace, like a little bit like anxious, stressed, like. Restless.
I bet was the ruuhkavuodet.
Traffic years.
Literally. Yeah. When you have kids of a certain age, so you gotta get them there, get them back. You know, do your job. Ruuhkavuodet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Where was I? We're navigating. So we have all these unmet needs, and that makes it's like when we silence them, when the mind silence, we start feeling them, and they might really feel like quite horrible, like sometimes really demonic. And once again, there's a trick is to accept the demon. To even in the Bible, it says in one point, "Resist no evil." And this is just when you. I'm gonna conjure this with Austin Osman Spare, an artist, writer, and magician from the beginning of the 20th century to the middle, somewhere around that time. Wrote about meditation, like enter a room, be alone in a room, close the door, light a candle, dim the lights, know that you're in good company. And like that is once again, you start feeling these thoughts, feelings, emotions, demons, maybe even angels, whatever it is that you start feeling, and just like know that they're all you. It's all you. You don't have to be afraid of any of those things because it's all you. Once again, just shadow aspects. It's and here's the joke, to return to why the trickster rules everything, because this joke can be found within everything. The joke is, it's in a sense rather silly to be afraid of a shadow, isn't it? In a sense, like if we want to think it that way. I mean, I know that it's in the moment we are being caught up within the illusion that it is something scary and terrible, and that is also part of the process of going from shadow to light, is that in the moment of the shadow, it might be like you might wish.
That's a very human aspect.
Oh yes,
That's
it's
a
very.
survival skill.
Yeah. It's
The tricks for a reason.
They're undoubtedly they're there for a reason, and also. Undoubtedly, they're there for a reason, and most of all, and probably the one reason is for our own sort of protection. Even though I've heard that mentioned sometimes, I'm a little bit skeptical myself to that. I think the reason is more metaphysical, in the sense that the trickster hides the truth of what we are, which is like our innermost essence. And which is, something that's infinitely larger than what we imagine we are, or what we think we are, or what we believe we are, or what we even claim to know we are. Within our DNA is the code of all of life. The very first single cell organism to this very moment. And I don't know, I sometimes have this feeling that that within that code lies also the code for the future. But this is a realm that's not supported.
I mean, the mitochondrial female DNA can be traced back to whenever.
Yeah.
And thus it will always be so.
Yeah.
In all species.
Yeah. I do notice that I'm going very easily, like jumping from, like staying within the topic, but jumping within the topic to one subject to the other. And I'm gonna. That's the trickster once again. He's like.
So many colors and dimensions in the universe, so you have to take into account them.
It's you're right, and I will. You're right, and I will. And like once again, as the trickster, like in the Roman like pantheon, is sort of mostly characterized as the Mercurius. He's the guy who is the messenger of the gods. He can be anywhere and everywhere instantaneously. In all of time, in all of space, he's like not bound to, he's everywhere. And so therefore, once again, to correspond this to the trickster within us, he's the thinking mind, like he's like the thought that just goes from one place to another, like as the thoughts run around in your head. It can be everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Yeah, particle physics.
Particle physics, yes, indeed. Oh, that's good. So that's the explanation to why my mind jumps so much from one thing. But I hope to stay within that it all stays within the realm of shamanism, magic, and trickster shamanism, too. And so returning to the Lakotas, they have the coined the definition for what a trickster shaman, the Heijokas. They call them the sacred jesters, the trickster shaman, the thunder shaman, and these are they often are play the polar opposite of what everybody else do. For instances, on cold days, the Heijoka, the trickster shaman, might walk around naked and like, oh, it's a beautiful sunny day, oh, and it's sunny, beautiful, hoi, hoi, hoi. And on cold, on warm days, he might sit. Warm, beautiful days, he might put on all his clothes and sit by a fire and go. It's so cold! It's so cold! It's so cold! It's so cold! All in all, to like create this feeling of surreal, the absurdity within what is otherwise perceived as the normal structure, the norm, the societal norm. You look at this guy and you go, what the hell is that guy doing? It's like this cold day and he's walking around naked. I can see his willy.
And I'm doing the same.
You walk around.
Why am I doing the same?
As everybody.
That's a pretty powerful character.
And it opens this to see that someone does something completely different, opens up. Well, one of the main doors I have find that it opens. You can't look at that a scene of someone walking around on a cold, cold day, going like, "Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day, isn't it?" And like not smile. I would go there with a not to this like try not to smile or try not to laugh challenge on this. It's like you see something so out of the norm that it creates this sense of surreal, like, is this guy for real? He must be mad. And the answer is, yes, he is mad, but he also knows that all of the normality as we perceive it is a construct. And therefore, like, believing in something to be normal just because we have, like, this constructed rules over what we perceive to be normal is definitely a madness.
That's how cults happen.
That's how like really kind of the worst things happen when we start believing in this construct too much, and we think of this construct to be the only way or the one way or whatever we want to perceive it. This one truth and nothing else. And however crazy.
Oh my.
So the trickster shaman goes against acts against the norm to remind the norm that there's no such thing as normality. That look, I'm crazy, but you sort of all know that I'm doing something that you sort of like.
Nonsense is the only sense.
In a sense, yes. Yes, so a beautiful cartoon on Facebook here that said also two monks, and one had his head in his hands and was saying nothing makes sense, in a little looked a bit sad, and the other one was a big smile on his face as he said, "It does, doesn't it?" Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So the Heyokas of the Lakotas, they are the clowns, the comedians, but they're also very powerful magicians, as they're and
Crying clown.
the crying clown. Yes, as I say, I might talk. Thank you for reminding me. I might actually mention that still, and the Heyokas are they're the clowns, the magician, the shaman. They're clown shamans, and they're also hence the thunder beings. They often are through the stories said to have a voice like thunder that can boom in everywhere and all around. So to hear a Heyoka sing with full force can be quite a stunning experience. And the crying crown again. The crying clown is once again is one of the portrayals, the way to maybe understand this duality, which is the trickster shaman encompasses embodies in the same package. Is if you ever you don't have to answer, but there's a when I've
sounds like too heavy a burden.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, have you ever cried so deeply that you really start feeling like laughter bubbling from beneath the crying, or even like almost feeling the smile as you cry, like on your lips, that there's someone smiling while you're crying, or vice versa, laughed so much that someone else mistakes you for crying.
Yeah.
You've done that, yeah. Yeah, that's once again, there's we see like how the trickster is like the two faces within one package. Yep.
I once cried so much that I was observing myself like from the inside, thinking that this is absurd.
Yeah.
Because I was like a river. There was just a continuous stream,
Yeah.
which was totally like a grand stream. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm in a funeral. I'm like, I was thinking how I didn't know it's possible to cry so much. I became
Yeah.
water from the heart.
Yeah.
And it felt really healthy.
Yeah, it is. It's like one of the best things that can happen to one when this happens, like, and to really let go, like that's to let it go.
A funeral, like,
Yeah.
sarcastic, crazy.
Yeah. Mm. So yeah, the crying clown, the trickster, is like he embodies both aspects of the emotional spectrum, like, or shall we say all aspects, as we all do. But the trickster is the one who is someone who has allowed himself or herself to really feel it, to feel the very depths, because at the very, yeah.
Can it still be possible to, is it like if you think about like a kultainen keskite, like the golden middle road,
Yep.
is it possible for them, or is it only that they're on the limits, like?
Well, I'm gonna admit that I'm not gonna be able to really give any one definition that affects all, because in the end everybody is a human person, and I'm sure and I know that there are them who like really walk the enlightened road, like, and like stay in this mindset of like where they are one with themselves and one with their surroundings, and do that with like, I'm not going to say ease, but like at least they've taken that step and they are living, walking the walk, talking the talk, whereas many others are like struggling with demons and like still humans and still trickster shamans, and have really had these powerful experiences and sort of know what it's about, but still are caught up with some personal demons. For instance, the Dalai Lama is a trickster shaman. Like you see it in his smile when you, and like if in this one interview with
He's fresh.
what?
Desmond Tutu is another one.
Desmond Tutu, that's good. I saw they did this tour together, Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama. A couple, yeah, they were good friends, and they did this tour together. I saw this speech that they held, and it was really cute. It was especially Dalai Lama was like constantly there next to Desmond Tutu and like good touching, and going like leaning against him, and Desmond Tutu's reaction was what are the same as Aki's here. And when the American
Figure
African leader or something.
South African bishop.
yes, Bishop, yes, and and when John Oliver met this American comedian, he has this show called Last Week Tonight, where he goes through something that's been in the news, something like a team, and propose half an hour's comic satiric segment where he does his own personal analysis and commentary on this particular subject. It's quite good. And he met the Dalai Lama, I can't remember when, a couple of years back, but he did an interview with the Dalai Lama. And he said, it's not showed in the interview, but he said in an interview that when they were waiting for John Oliver said in an interview that when they were waiting for the Dalai Lama, he was like, the Dalai Lama was half an hour late, or was it even more, and they were like starting to get like a little bit tense and restless, and like was like didn't have any way of contacting him or knowing when he was coming. And then he arrived, and immediately as they shook hands, the Dalai Lama pinched him. The Dalai Lama pinched John Oliver, and he snapped, what happened? And he said that all tension just vanished from all of the room. With that one pinch, like all tension, and it was a very pleasant, easy going, and he felt very relaxed after that in the company of Dalai Lama. And also, he's hilarious, and in this interview as well, John Oliver asks Dalai Lama, can't really remember what it was like, but the context is that China seemed to view you as this horrible demon who is like, and the Dalai Lama goes, but I am a big scary demon. I got horns, and like puts fingers up, and like I'm a big scary demon with horns. So yeah, the Dalai Lama is definitely a trickster shaman. Yeah. A very good one. A very good one, undoubtedly. He is sovereign. And another one who is maybe not so much a shaman, but definitely attuned to also this the trickster spirit and the crying clown. One of my personal favorite heroes of mine is Robin Williams. And he found out how he could play with his voice to do magic. To listen to Robin Williams just let go, for instance, in Good Morning Vietnam, or Aladdin, is or in interviews or stand-up when he's just doesn't follow script but just lets go. It's it's among the most imaginative and funniest experiences I know, because it's just he's just so funny. He's just so funny, and you can tell that man, the love he shared through his art was I would have to say is really stunning, but still a man with big personal demons who cried a lot, suffered from deep depression all his life, and
So there's you can pull strings, you can be good at pulling strings.
Sorry?
You can be good at pulling strings.
You can be good at pulling strings and still be unable to cut the strings that tie you to disease, not being at ease, being in or whatever. Yeah. Yep. I'm thinking, are there any questions?
Sorry, Morgan, you raised your hand. You're first.
I'm just want to ask, do you see yourself as a trickster shamanism?
I know I have a trickster shaman in me. There was the first time was the very first time was an ayahuasca ceremony that I found, and I'd been before the ceremony. I'd been doing a lot of mental preparation. I've been cut off some ties to a former girlfriend that was no good for me, or we weren't good for each other, and I'd quit smoking. I've started meditating a lot, and I did before the ceremonies. I did a lot of work. To make the ceremony happen, cleaning and cooking and helping people find who arrived there to be at ease. There, welcoming them and showing them around and quit smoking, and I remember it was the second night of that ceremony. It was So the thing that I had encountered once before, and I can only describe it as trickster energy, and it's trickster energy. Trickster energy, and that experience was on a mushroom experience. And in that place, I remember this energy flow that felt like the maddest thing in the whole wide world was flowing through me, and I felt like I'm such a demon. I feel like I just feel like I am a demon, and I was like,
kind of responsible.
What?
Responsible.
Responsible demon.
Yeah, you feel like I have all this, and I'm, I would imagine I would be responsible. How should I juggle these balls?
That is once you are there. Yes, that is once you are there, AG present. Then you can juggle balls. If you're not present, you're not going to be able to juggle. Eli kuin, eli niin kuin.
E.g.
I think I have felt it.
You felt trickster energy. Oh yes, that was what I was talking about. Thank you. I completely. Thank you.
Reminded me of
Yep.
also like is it so also can be maybe that like you can leave the light, you can leave the light be like a good shaman, but then you can also be in very depths. You can go through
Yep.
a lot. You can see some bad, not so good things, but then you try to balance or and still you know the ääripäät.
Yep.
Edges somehow, and then you swim and try to balance in between somehow. Same time, but it's like I don't know if you got what I was saying, but
Like, is there a question there?
it was a question that does it sound like it might be something like that with the trickster someone, or
The trickster shaman is definitely aware of the ääripäät, the ends of the spectrum, that
and feeling strong.
and feeling strong, really strong, yes. And to answer your question, the first time I encountered this trickster energy was like this energy flow that I just felt flowing through my consciousness and my body, and it really felt mad. Like that's the only like I'm a demon, but I was unable to move. I was high on the mushrooms. I was unable to move. I was unable to talk. I was trying to call for my friend there and tell him I'm a demon. You gotta do something. But I was completely unable to speak. And then I just went the trip through, and somehow I was on the other end, and I was like, I'm not okay. I was not a demon. It was like some form of joke. And another friend almost threw a pillow at me because she said I had this she got really amused and annoyed at the same time at this smile that I had. That it was she said that it looks like you know something that you're not gonna tell. And it was just the smile I had, the feeling I had that I don't know. And yeah, so that was the first time I felt this trickster energy.
But did you know what it was then?
No, I did start calling it trickster energy after that, though. However, the second time I felt it was in this ceremony that I mentioned earlier, which was with ayahuasca, and we had well, this man doesn't call himself a shaman, but definitely like a curandero, traveling musician who pass it. No, thank you. And this curandero shaman who travels with ayahuasca, even though he does not call himself a shaman, but basically the work he does is still shamanistic, and so So anyway, and in this ceremony, as I said, I've done quite a lot of like mental preparation and like quit smoking during that time, and like done a lot of work for the ceremony. Done a lot of work where I've helped people like who arrived to the place to make them feel welcome and like at peace.
So like a fast.
I hadn't been on a fast. I hadn't been on a fast. A mental fast, yes. I've definitely done a mental fast. And the first ceremony had gone really well, and I felt like, all right, now I'm finally like starting after being like all of December, like in a really dark place. I was starting to feel like now I'm going, this is good. Now I'm on the right path. And I remember that when I my intention for that night was I was just gonna I'm just gonna ask because my intention for the night I was gonna ask Mother Ayahuasca, and one of the things with ayahuasca is it's worth to like you can ask her. You can have an intention always when you do these ritual ceremonies, whether it be with medicine, mushrooms, ayahuasca, or not, just like just the practice, the ritualistic ceremonial practice of quieting one's mind and becoming present, and
those substances
you can
shortcuts basically.
the substances are guides, maybe shortcuts, guides who can lead you through into territories you might yourself not want to go or like afraid to go to. They might be a safe guide for those trips. Assuming you are safe, you are in a safe place, you are in a safe setting, space and setting, both inner and outer. And in that I had done like this mental fast, and I was in a very safe space, and thus I was also able to like be safe. Anyway. During that ceremony, this is among the most best things that has ever happened to me. That first I remember my heart opening, and it was a very physical experience where my entire chest like just expanded. I felt like this radiant glow of light just like shining forth there.
I have been there.
You've been there too. Yeah.
Just closing and shining the electric light, and
Yeah.
it's very opening
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that's the hard opening. Yeah. And then I remember feeling the same energy, but this time it was in my jaws. The same time as this really this energy in all the rain colors of the rainbows. They were all like a little bit like going like that, like on a very weird energy level. I felt this energy in my jaws, and this energy literally like just unclenched my jaw. They just like opened up all the tension in my jaws, and at the very same time it just pulled the smile of my face up to the ears, and I got this mental image of the Dalai Lama who just said, "Welcome, brother." And then I was given a jester's hat, a fool's hat, from like somewhere along, and I felt the same energy coming like up here into my scalp, opening it up, and the hat came on, and then I felt really like I'm the maddest person in the world. And I was like really torn between going into the deepest gratitude I've ever felt. Just like I was mantraing, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, I'm mad, please help me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't someone help me? Can't you see I'm mad? Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I love you, love you, love you. You are awesome, I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm so mad, I can't take this. And it was the funniest thing, and not scariest, it was just pure amazing, but the feeling was definitely one of like madness. Like I'm mad, and at the same time there was this once again the trick that within this madness lied the truth, the very truth that yes, I am mad, And the more I can, because love is mad. This is another like one of the secrets is that love is mad.
Yeah, it often makes no sense.
It makes no sense. No, if we start like consider like imagine we like some boy likes a woman, a man likes a woman, and a woman likes a man, and like we want to tell them or like signals, but there's always like this. We feel slightly embarrassed, and we're like a little bit uncertain, and like this is all once again we start thinking. And we start, if we ask the mind, should I do this? The mind might be, I don't know, it's a little bit uncomfortable and scary, like if we could do something else, or like, not, no.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's when it's good to be a trickster. You just be as weird
Just
as you are, and if
go
you
with
can't
it.
stand it, then you know.
Then
okay,
it's
now
wrong.
It's safe.
Exactly, and just go with it.
Yeah.
That's once again, just go with it, and like, to be oneself is the greatest act of love we can give to our surroundings, because like to be truly ourselves in both, in a sense, good and bad, is authentic. It's the truth. The true and to speak the truth is to speak the language of the universe. The universe responds to that which is true, and works to align itself with the truth. So to be and to really dare to be, like for instance, I'm going to admit that I have big difficulties sometimes being around people, because I really feel that I like to really, really connect with this part of my being. Basically feels like I want to cry. I love you all so much that I could cry, that I want to cry all the time, that I could cry. And sometimes I cry. And when I start crying, I could like...
You smile.
Sorry?
You smile.
Yeah. I've been like I've been thinking about, like, for ceremonial purposes, creating a sign that says "Do not disturb," and every time I start crying, I would lift the sign and like cry in peace behind the sign. People have such a tendency to come get worried and try to console you, when all you want to do is like just let it out. I want to let it.
In a metro.
I have cried on buses,
Yeah,
but not that's.
Do the sign thing in a bus.
That would be funny. That would
By
be
the way,
funny.
I was in my ayahuasca experience. I was guided to the world with by Trikster children.
Yep.
They would like these like naked little creatures would come like and laugh crazily and pinch me and take me to the
Through the rainbow gate.
yeah.
Nice. That's a major fair. I don't know.
They were giggling as hell.
They would do that. That. That's amazing. Good story.
I have a
story.
question. You
Yep.
said earlier about archetypes,
Yes.
also refer to puoli-jumala, in Finnish, half god.
Yes. I would not call them half gods. Like I am a little bit.
Different aspects of the common higher god.
That's really good. That's really good. Different aspects of the one that is many.
Connect the umbrella.
Yep.
The umbrella that connects the world.
The umbrella that connects them all. Yeah, different aspects of the fundamental. Different aspects of the fundamental foundations of reality, of like both the psychic reality and material reality. They can be, and for instance, Thor being strength and courage, and like the guy who protects humans from the forces of chaos. I'm using Viking mythology here as a reference point because I'm quite familiar with the Viking mythology. Odin being the laws and order, the Odin who rules over Valhalla with its great walls shielding the realm of the gods from the giants, the forces of chaos, e.g. the forces of order and chaos. Freya, love, her brother Frey, the male aspect of the fertility, basically the corn and hay, the seed that the grains, the grains that grow from the earth. It's Frigga, the goddess of wisdom, Loki, the trickster, etc., etc. I once had a friend who asked, but why, if that's what the gods are, why call them gods? And this was several years ago, and I could not give him a good answer then, but I think, why not call them, aspects of reality? Why call them gods? And I think, to me, because in a sense, these aspects of reality, they govern what we perceive as reality. They are the very laws, the very laws and rules and the flows and the streams of life and reality. So in a sense, hence they are really those that govern reality, e.g. the only word I could think of to describe anything of this nature would be the word God.
Yeah. Yeah, divine is interesting.
Divine is interesting.
Do you think there's modern gods amongst us? You said I'm thinking like RuPaul, Robbie Williams as an example of an excellent example of trickster shaman.
Yep.
But maybe they have a same god sourcing them with this energy. Do you think there's new archetypes?
You are.
You are.
We are. Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah, the universe is constantly also evolving, so there definitely is new archetypes also.
There is new archetypes. I will be maybe I'm not going to go so much into that, just because it feels like a tricksy subject, and I might talk myself into a bag which I cannot get out of.
The lasers, sci-fi robots.
They could be, but they could also be seen, for instance, as another way to perceive what the old Vikings called the giants. I mean, it's as their symbolical meaning is often the same. Hence, we're going into the Jungian archetype and hero with a thousand faces. The book by Joseph Campbell, where he explores the hero's journey and leaving the ordinary world behind, the call to adventure, the refusal, the leaving the ordinary world, meeting the mentor, meeting allies and enemies, tests and trials, and then the road into the underworld, and where he confronts the shadow, seizes the sword, and then returns to the ordinary world with the elixir.
A question.
Yes?
Who has been your mentor or mentor?
I've had no one has directly trained me, but I've seen, I've had many mentors, and I do my best to try to see the situation, whatever it is I'm in, to be a mentor. I'm not I've not been appointed shaman by anyone.
Been a shaman's apprentice.
I have not been a shaman's apprentice yet.
Would you like to?
I would I know from shamans that they get very confused by trickster shamans. They don't really always get us. Because a shaman has this, they have the songs they sing, the structure they follow, And the trickster shaman, if the trickster shaman has to be able to play, and if the shaman tries to control or dampen the trickster shaman will get miserable, and that's when he will leave or like things. So, but I've heard that the Lakota Indians apparently train Heyoka shamans, trickster shamans, and it's like a I don't know how these things is.
Born to be a trickster shaman. They are like untrainable, maybe.
I think there's an untrainable aspect in the trickster shaman. Simply because they're the maddest of the mad. I mean, I heard of, I can't remember whose quote it was, but a phrase that went, a mystic and a madman wade in the same waters. The difference is that a mystic knows how to swim. And
kello 9-11
Viittä vaille.
Mitä?
9.
että vailla 9.
Oikeasti viittä vaille, tasaviittä vaille.
Oli herrastunut mun mielestä, kun oli yhden Vissi laitoinkin, tai jos sä laitat pois.
Janne, jag tycker nog att det finns så dylika.
Thank you. Well, yep, please.
Do you know Matthew Silver, the guy that in a lot of videos he's like performing in the street, like making just fart noise and just
Yes, big
like
bushy
that.
beard and
Yeah.
big blonde
Like
Jesus
it's
looking
perfect,
guy.
like
with,
trickster
yes.
shaman.
Oh yeah. He's
Yes.
the New York guy, right?
Looks a bit like you.
yeah, thank you. He's a handsome man.
What was this video of him going with the drum into stores and screaming like something really simple like love, give everyone love, stop playing stuff.
yeah, I've seen a couple. Yeah.
Matthew Silver.
Matthew Silver.
Or
Good Jewish name.
Divine Clown.
Divine clown. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like simple messages through a sense of silly humor.
Yes.
And
Yes.
makes people laugh, so that means
It's good.
it's healing.
Oh
in
yes.
some way.
Oh yes. So in some way, definitely.
At least the people that see him will have a little bit better day.
We'll also push buttons, and people will get annoyed at it as well. But like it's like a little bit part of the
Yeah.
part of the show. Thank you. Any other questions?
I was just thinking about silly humor. Silly humor is so good. That's like a in our DNA, like ohukainen ja paksukainen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It's the
It's like slapstick comedy, and
So this beautiful video of titled "When England Will Leave the EU," and it was like Stan Oliver and Hardy, and they were like saying goodbye to like hundreds of times, like millions of times, just goodbye, lifting their hands, goodbye, bye bye, see you, goodbye, goodbye, bye bye, goodbye, goodbye, bye bye. And then they just start driving forward with their car. The car gets flat tire and they stop there. But you had a question.
Yes. How to follow the trickster's good way, humorous way, and not to go to the wrong way, the dark.
Not to be tempted by the yep.
Dark trauma. Stay out of it. I have been felt that sometimes Trikster nostaa päätään and trying to make dark drama.
Oh yes.
How to follow the good way?
How to follow the good way? Well,
How to find the humorous Trikster on those
The cheerful light
chi-
instead
yes.
of dark and
well,
unhumorous.
one of the tricks is definitely to, when in darkness, there are many tricks. But there's nothing there's no like magic trick that's gonna turn the darkness into light instantaneously, unless you manage to do that, because sometimes you do. Sometimes things just happen, but like, let's say that we are stuck in a depressive loop, like depressive hole or like something like that. Well, a couple of things is I mean, one of the things the Trikster, one of the ways the Trikster tricks us is he promises instant pleasure.
That's the keyword.
That's the disease. The instant pleasure is the trick, the trick by which he snares us into a cycle, what is called a cycle of like seeking something. This is his solution is easy. Like, you're feeling bad, addiction. You're feeling bad, have a drink. You're feeling bad, have a smoke. Go have sex. Like, all things that like will give us a sense of relief for that.
There's good in some amounts, but bad in excess.
Nothing. Yes, exactly. Nothing is ever like pure black and white. There's always the light in the dark and the dark in the light. It will like.
I remember that I had to make, or Trikster made, that dark drama around me, and that was the way to seek answers.
Yeah.
And answers came to me.
Yeah.
And that was relieving.
Good.
So there is
Good.
yin and yang,
Yeah.
dark and light.
Exactly. And in these moments of darkness, I think like. One is the art of surrender and to let go.
If you're listening in Australia, it's the opposite, probably.
The art to let go and then surrender.
Yeah, that also
works as well, I think. Well, to really like well, when in this states of being, is like there are a couple of tricks, a couple of really good tricks. Leonard Cohen sang "Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering."
Or maybe a pinch.
A pinch might work.
It needs something, or ice cube inside your shirt.
That sounds like a quite a good. Well, you wake you up a little bit, give you a jolt.
Yeah, change the.
Do something exactly. Do almost anything to like get you out of the loop that you're in. Also realize and recognize that this is the work from a depressive state to a not like it's gonna be like you're gonna have to do work in order to feel good. Whereas like the Trikster, once again, don't forget about work. Have a cigarette. It's okay. You can go to the bar. You can clean the house tomorrow. Do the dishes tomorrow. It's not that important. It's like you don't have to pay your bills. It's fine. It's fine.
Don't pay your bills is actually good advice.
I have problems with that.
If everybody did it, it would be good. Then the rich bastards would be out of business.
Maybe I'm not gonna.
Sometimes the bad things can be good things.
I'm not gonna condone this message. Someone who doesn't pay my bills on time. I end up paying a lot of extra money just in late fees and also.
Yeah, the problem with getting like Sakko from the library or not returning books.
Yeah.
That's your extent of rebellion.
Viva la revolution. Sorry, what did you say?
Somebody gotta keep them in business, so somebody got not continue.
Professor, I have a question. Actually, I was going to say that this is a particular question because this is sort of like just a comment.
Can I give a couple of answers more to Pin? Yes, I would like to just because I find her. I will come to you immediately after, but I find her question as being also very personal and like something that I'm actually struggling with myself. Is like a tendency to engage in sorry.
Flow.
In flow.
In flow.
Well, not always, I know. Hence the problems of my life is that I'm really not always. I often end up being lured by the tricked by the trickster,
that's
and
one of her favorite weapons. Flowism.
Flow is good. But when in this depressive hole, it's like to a couple of magic tricks. One is to do what you can to like whatever it is, to ring the bells that still can ring, do a little bit of cleaning, go for a small walk or a longer walk, like go for a small walk into the woods, into the nature, breathe the fresh air.
But you have to go with the lyrics to a little bit further to the crack
There's
on the wall.
the song.
The light gets in. When you realize that's the crack in the depression. That's where the light gets in.
We're gonna get to that, yeah. Okay. And the song goes, "Ring the bells that still can." The song is "Anthem" by Leonard Cohen, and it goes, "Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." And I wanted to use this both to symbolize how, like, do whatever it is, however minor it is that like lifts the spirit, like that really like makes you feel good on a like you know how I would call it true soulful level, like not just this instant gratification of eating candy or something, which you feel as long as you have candy and candy flavor in your mouth, but afterwards you will feel sick. But this kind of thing that, for instance, after you've cleaned the house, after it's been very messy, you go, "Oh, thank God it's cleaned." That's when you know, this is the way. It's all hidden in plain sight. Another thing the trickster does, he hides everything. Everything is hidden always in plain sight. The answer to everything we seek is always hidden right there in the here and now. We do know. We just have to know that we know and stop trying to tell ourselves otherwise. For instance, I had this quite incredibly interesting relationship that has lasted me for several years and been on and off, and like it's really unhealthy for me. And every time I've been there, I like always come to the same point, and every time I've left that relationship and walked away, I've been started feeling good. So like the issue that I did not want to see when I was, especially when we started dating, and I was like in a really 6 years ago, I was like after I had divorced from my wife, I've stopped taking antidepressants that I had taken for 13 years, and I got involved with another woman, and I was seeking a lot of sort of maybe protection. I was very needy. I was in a place of deep need, or at least perceived need, which then was I got gratification, like this sense of instant gratification every time we had sex, which created like a horrible addictive, like a codependency and addiction towards this other person. But the issue that was really painful for me to admit and to confront was that the truth that did set me free, and that was that this was not a relationship I could be in. Partly because of who I was in that time and place, but also in
It's a form of eroticism.
a form of what? Eroticism. Well, this relationship was definitely quite erotic. I'm not gonna lie, but and yet still I'm happier like being celibate than like in this relationship. That I can say, oddly enough, much happier, just by feeling like better. And yet, and so like confront the truth, like do what you can in order to feel good, and then confront the truth. Confront the truth. You will know what is the right way, and what like once you let go of whatever it is that you want to hold on to.
It's usually a bad things which I hold on to.
Yeah.
Hold on to.
Yeah.
So
It is.
I have to let go.
Yeah.
Yes, because when your energy gets free, you know, it's more easy to. Yep, when you
Yep, when you
Yes. When your energy gets free, you free also, and then it's more easy to
And then it's
start new directions.
it's very yep.
Yep. Then you know. You're right. Absolutely. Then you know when once you let go, like then it's yep. It was Janne, you had a question.
Yeah, it started coming into my thinking when Aki said that the divine interests.
Yes.
And then a later question said something like, I can't remember a word for describing that, but like sort of like being interested in the means of some of the practices, methods, how to achieve something by doing something or asking something. How can I practice some thing, make some deed that results would serve something of my interests. And I'm so happy in my life that I have been granted with very, very detailed easy instructions for each like step of the whole process of accomplishing something that we might have thought of as being the thing that I was about to express in this question. And it comes to the lovely liking of being capable of giving names to all kinds of things and with what. So it is to describe this, the level of what I'm doing now. And with what even this I am doing. To describe it, how is it possible we must describe being skillful at doing it well gives you the feeling that you reached what you were seeking to reach. And so it's a consumption of materialistic
fulfillment.
Yeah, but the describing it gives it to you much more than even doing it. So thinking about it is very evident. And my answer to that question, how can I reach something without being?
Yeah.
You need to be prepared. So to prepare is the main practice that very good makes.
Protection is good also with like the chakras. Go through the chakras.
Only if prepared and then to make this
Maybe another
question even deeper.
subject.
I just was born during this lecture, and from now on the difficultest thing that I have been capable of trying to think became the best and easiest for me, and it was to realize that what I do when I try to invoke in my physical body for a good waking up amongst the living, I named it self-expression, which is quite raw, maybe in this sentence, but the word express, meaning that there used to be a pressure there, because what we are struggling is some kind of a pressure that we feel, and that keeps our thinking. So it's not to think, it's feeling, and we mustn't confuse ever again these two. And it's just that I didn't know its name, so it was difficult to me, but now it's just that I think that there used to be a stress, instead of thinking that, oh, I have the stress or the pressure. I don't ever think anymore that I have a pressure, even because I think that there used to be from now on, and that is the practice. So if I wish to be prepared for expressing this with a lot more nice way of setting the tones of my words, I would become much more mastery good. Very, very, very good.
Sounds like you're a little bit answering your own question.
It was that question means that what is the question here, and so this was just all this is some of the question.
That which came as a
Intentions again.
It didn't matter that bad, like we didn't also.
I don't remember also the
I'm
question
not the lecturer.
this time.
I started to prepare.
I'm really happy that we have this in recording.
Oh yeah, me
She's
too.
our producer.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
beautiful.
cooking it.
Thank you. Oh, this is fun. This is very fun.
I can compose some more parts to my vocal melody.
You brought up some interesting points here. It's like really how to achieve what.
I
Yep.
didn't even give everything that I boasted of in the beginning. One was that when I was in mental asylum, I was given 3 dopes that I remember, and their order, and their colors, and like the structure, and that's really spaced out stuff, because it's like the first one was like a silvery metallic on the surface, licorice chocolate with possibly the white enamel in there also. I of course mean amalgamicness, but with sugars and colors in white, and so black center chocolate, and then silver that shines, and it's like, imagine some powder.
Sarah, were these
Was
drugs,
there-
like drugs, medicines? that
Yeah.
you were-
Then there's another one that was like the old 80s PC color, so it's like a brown, pink, white, or beige,
Right.
but with a lot of almost what the last of these 3 was orange. So that's so strange, because it's quite energetic. First silvery with brown and black. Then like a direction towards the natural. If you look at the underside of the skin, there's this pinkish with a lot of browns and still it's a light, full white. And then an orange. And the orange is like sort of like an instruction for sharing this that we previously experienced. And so I didn't need to have sacks of those so that I'd eat them every day. But to think of those in order when I destroy matter for my own body's new health and have water with it works very well. So you have separated the experiencing to another thing. You have also named its factors. Me, I'm just waking up. Yeah.
Thank you. You did actually raise a couple of issues there that I found like would love to talk about. One was the question of how to achieve what we want to achieve, and to this, like you are aware, like you know of the law of attraction, and like basically like. The bottom line is be that which you want to achieve. Like attracts like. I'm personally like, I'm not concerned so much about the material, like the money, fame, power, sex, women. The temptation is there, and sometimes I give you, sometimes yes, of course. But like basically, to me, this is more like what I'm like where I feel like that is the road, the path of. That brings actual happiness is I want to achieve peace, I want to achieve love. And to me the answer has been, if you want to find peace, you have to be peaceful. If you want to feel love, you have to be loving. If you want to feel gratitude, you need to give thanks. And however, like if you want to achieve like on a more material plane, whatever it is, then we go into once if I'm allowed to make the distinction between what is basically white and black magic, as there is there is no like and a very rudimentary, maybe vulgar level of explaining this, like it would be that the white magic involves and like is concerned about this non-material aspects of our being and our well-being, and like the security, of these qualities that I mentioned, peace and love and safety. Which of course have also a material aspect, especially safety. But like then, if we want to like achieve money, fame, power, then we go into what is called what I refer to as the domination over reality. Then we want reality to form to our will, instead of allowing our will to be one with reality, which is like the enlightened way of being. I once wrote, working on a book called The Tao of the Fool, where I have a segment where I write. There are those who try to make reality bend to their will, seeking dominance and power. These are the black magicians who seek dominance and power. That was how I wrote. Then there are those who ask for reality to be kind and agreeable to them. These are the ones seeking a kind, agreeable life. Then there are those who choose reality as it is and choose to dance with it. These are the enlightened beings who crave neither power nor fame, yet they pull on the secret strings of kings and queens. So this is one quite simplistic, like, and it's much more, much more, like, especially if we go into ritualistic magic, it will get into much more gray and murky areas than this kind of simplistic black and white view. But I think there's something there as actually. Okay, I'm gonna reveal you a secret about the devil, and that is that he's the ruler of the material plane. He's the shadow side of God, the same particle which in one end of the spectrum has a vibrational wavelength which is infinite, and the other end of the spectrum has a wavelength which is frozen, solidified. One is the light, one is the shadow, same particle.
And the frozen is the devil, are you saying?
Yes, the material plane. When light freezes, the further it comes from the oneness, the divine, the infinite, the eternal, it becomes frozen into time and space, like it travels the tree of life of the Kabbalah in a lightning wood, and it freezes in what is called the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is the material plane. This is the destination of the divine light. It flows from the divine light into the kingdom, which is the creation. And the devil, as God's shadow side, is the ruler of the material plane of existence. He is, in Greek mythology, he's Pan. He's the god Pan. The great god Pan means actually everything. But he's the god of the forest. He's the horned god. He's
With the funny legs.
The funny goat-legged, hoof and horn, all the similar. Yep, similar.
You don't like
I thought it was really hyped when it got good reviews back in the day, but it was okay, I think. Not too special.
But to return, he's the horned one, he's the goat-legged one, hoof and horn, all that dies that will be reborn. He's Carnunnos in the Celtic mythology, Wotan in the Germanic, another name for Odin, but Wotan is maybe more often portrayed with the horns. He's the who venture on out on the wild hunt. Another story for another time. But like AG, the devil is the ruler of the material plane of existence, whereas God is the ruler of the immaterial plane of existence. All in all, it's all one, but like to make this quick, brief distinction here for clarity's sake. So AG to what, for instance, the Satanic Church preaches.
I have something to say about Satanism and shamanism.
Okay, I will remember to ask you after in a sec. Yeah. Cool. What the Satanic Church preaches and teaches in both their church doctrines and in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey, the founder of the Satanic Church, where he has rituals for how to perform both love spells and how to destroy an opponent and how to achieve fame in life and whatnots, whatever. And so, and undoubtedly one of the divine aspects of life, one of the things we need to feel safe in life. This is so. Hence, is there anything wrong with having a material existence? No, it's not. Is the devil a bad guy? No, he isn't. If you look at and especially in the tarot deck by Aleister Crowley, the Thoth deck, the devil in the major arcana is portrayed with like a goat, like the smile upon his face, and there's a joke there. I met him a couple of times, and I've realized he's smiling. There's a joke, and the joke is a little bit like, I'm not a bad guy. I am not a bad guy. I am the consort of Mother Earth, the male life-giving force, the Father God, upon a material plane of existence. I am actually an angel. That was sort of the jest I got out of my encounters with the devil. The first time I encountered the devil, I was trying, oh no, get away from me, Satan, and I was like trying to ritual banish and like fighting, and I felt like I was afterwards like I'd been in a boxing match with Rocky Balboa or like something. I was really like shook and like traumatized, and so I did it again the next night. Too. Yes?
Yes. When I yes, ajattelen, että samalla kielellä puhun. When I think about like those because like okay, I'm the warrior of flight, the witch of light, the shaman of, and then but sometimes I needed to go. I had to be somewhere that is not light, and then I was like kind of like I had to fight. I had to use energy for what? I could not help anyone, because I was losing energy. And then I was trying to somehow, go the middle road somehow, like, but still keep the light, like. But then I feel like when you have the balance and stuff, then you are also more able to first, of course, help yourself, but then the others maybe when you get the balance.
Yes. Yes.
With the energies and
yes.
chakras and stuff.
Yes. And yes.
About shamanism, just like that. Yeah, I don't know why I wanted to say.
No, it's good that said it. That's an important point. The balance, to know that like if one is merely concerned with the immaterial plane of existence, then one might as well move to a monastery. Not a bad existence, but it's not one that's engaging with the material plane of being. And this is where, like, sorry?
Unless we name that of service to us.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point, that we could see this as a service. It is a service to the material plane as well. It definitely is. It definitely is.
We don't get to own much of it.
No, it's a very good service. I will come to you in just a sec. But however, the road of the magician is one that engages with the material world, at least according to a shaman magician who I encountered. He was quite adamant that the road of and I can believe that. Yep, thank you. And so once again, if you to achieve like through magical means success on the material world is would hence be like what the even satanical church would refer to as black magic but I think the best way to achieve success in the material world is to follow your heart, because your desires for success might be there. There's definitely it's so easy to have put an expectation, so I'll be happy once I have 10,000 euros, 100,000 euros, a million euros. I will be happy when I have a girlfriend. I will be happy when I have a wife, kids. I will be happy when I have a good house, a car. But the truth is, at the very best, this will give you happiness for a while, and then all the shadows that you haven't wanted to feel or will still be there, and they will create the same kind of feelings and thoughts that you've had that made you want those things that you wanted in the first place.
And if anything bugs you, just express it to yourself.
That's a good rule. That's a good rule. Be honest about it to yourself and accept it. And yes, but we had a question here about from.
Yeah. Komma hit.
Yeah.
You were talking about Lucifer or Satan being angel. Yeah, the fallen angel.
Yes.
So he could actually be the Heyoka because he is very smart, but he can also acknowledge the dark sides, and that's when I think of Satanism and Satanism and shamanism also sound very similar. And in shamanism, I think you should take into account all the colors, also the dark ones, the black. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. That was very, very good said. That was very well said. I don't have anything to say, comment to that, but you are definitely right. Like in my opinion, in my view, that's exactly how it is. This is another aspect of viewing.
But yeah, it's not nice with dark stuff, but it's necessary also sometimes. Yes. Like heart is most important. If you can be good and like do good things, of course, but sometimes you have to do what has to be done like that.
Yeah, we are humans, and we have like, yep. But ring the bells that still can ring. Whoa!
Like with Satanism, for example, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. This is like revenge rituals or something, like wishing something bad, because LaVey had said that it's just a show. They think one guy I follow on YouTube, where Satanists are just atheists in Halloween costumes, because they have just made it into a ritualistic thing. Yeah. For example, it can be a good thing to, like, if you're really mad at someone and you can't forgive them, burn picture of them as a risk. Like, you get that anger out without hurting them or something. Like, also like songs about like bad dark stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to go all the way. You can just
like it's basically expressing your deep feelings that can be really aggressive, but in a healthy way.
Like tantra, you don't have to penetrate and have sex like you can in other dimensions also, more gently and maybe.
I'd say that in both cases it's just some other masters, like enigma or appearance, reflecting and being experienced by you in a very pleasing manner, and all the time, forever, unless it's your expressing to yourself something, instead of like doing some deed that would cause something that you don't have.
Yeah.
And this is all expression because of the true meaning of words. Breathtaking.
Oh. That's good. No, I really agree with you. And also as a subject, it's one that I've been conflicted about. Like, as I've felt lately, both I was a little bit over a week ago. Even like I'd been for a walk in the forest and otherwise felt really quite good. And I cooked some food and I started feeling angry at this acquaintance who is who I have issues with, and like who has issues with and who has behaved appallingly at times, has behaved really bad, and I felt really angry at him, and I was like even like punching him and kicking him in while I was cooking food, and I was like, so at the same time I felt once again the devil smiling there, like the smile in this illusion, this feeling of kicking him and hitting him.
I
Felt.
thought it was material, but what it was inside of you.
Well,
That's material. Thoughts are also material, but I thought it was like some of your friends.
like I was got angry at a friend just that he plopped into my head. He was not there in the place or space I was in, other than in my thoughts, in my memories, in my somehow suppressed emotion.
That's also material.
Probably at least the physical manifestation of it is material. I do believe these things, as everything else, has the immaterial manifestation, which is then not material.
Some shamans like believe that if you have a accident, like if your thumb gets in between a dark car door, like by accident, it hurts and it starts to swallow and maybe bleed and everything. But if you do it in your mind, like 3 times, and it doesn't hurt in your mind when you do it randomly after it happens, really, because and then you do it in your mind, so that it doesn't hurt, it doesn't swallow, it doesn't bleed, and again 3 times. Like I don't know if it's like in 10 seconds of remember, but anyway, it doesn't get so hurt. And it happened to me, like, not that way, but another way, like something happened to me, and then it wasn't so bad, but normally it was bad. Like if I twisted my ankle or something. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. That was just something came to mind.
That's interesting. I've usually had the experience that when I think of something painful, I cringe and clinch and tense up in the same way as for instance, I had 3 years ago, both of my knees went kaput, broken, out of place, and it was excruciatingly painful. That's a story for another time. It's too funny to share now. No. I was too embarrassed. I was in a lotus position, and I was. A word of advice: if you have to force it, don't do any yoga position if you feel you have to force it. Just don't. A good. In a sense, very this is also the art of the flow. If you have to force it, it's like don't do it. Like go with the flow.
Energy is not flowing.
Preparing for some future service for
forcing.
How can you fail in happiness? Is just like you find yourself not accomplishing something at the distance that you wish that you had. So how to start to prepare for it not happening?
That's actually a good question. I think like to through the intention and to like through what you want, and like yes, through the intention. I once had a thought that everybody is good and wants good on some level, but like and I think on some level this is true, but I've also learned that like there are certain like, and this is hence returning to the anger and frustration that I've actually quite recently felt as I've had some fairly vampiric experiences of late. Both like I've been myself a vampire, like I've been craving attention and like something from.
Craving blood.
Well, blood is life force, but like I feed off your life force. No, never drank human blood in a literal sense, but but also have these. I have these friends who, in a sense, they have to. One, for instance, can't like they have to sort of be the center of attention, and like it feels like one of them talks a lot, and that's mostly fine. But it really feels that she's like not like her, like she's often like I feel like she's poking me in times when like how I feel like now I am falling into a deep relaxation, into a deep trance. Now I'm letting go. Now I'm starting to really let go, and like this is when I start feeling like she can come like
attention.
Yeah, she wants attention, and this happens so often. And it was the same thing with this woman that I used to be together with, and I'm fairly certain I was in that relationship as well as like that. But undoubtedly, I've noticed a certain tendency in certain people. I think this is like a more of a subconscious, the pull to do this. It's not like the doing. Now Johan is now falling into deep relaxation. Now I'm going to disturb this. That's not a thought that comes to their head. But I think what they are feeling is that sometimes like leaving that wavelength where they are used to interacting with me, and then they feel like they're losing me. And in a sense they are, but only like that's the illusion of losing. In truth, they're actually, I will be there.
For a while, please.
Just nostalgia.
Give me some space.
Yeah. Oh, and but this one woman, actually a couple of acquaintances, but they all have a little bit the same, that if they don't get the attention they crave from the space around them, they start getting visibly like nervous, restless, agitated.
They start to lose their energy.
Yes, they start losing their energy, and this one woman who, you know,
The Leo who, okay, if anyone is astrology, the Leo gets fulfillment, self-worth through other people complimenting on something that he's done. Astrology,
yes, and this goes especially true for one, actually quite a good friend of mine who I'm a little bit like, I was here last night, I was spending, like, I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to.
Horoscopes are of course grace, they are also archetypes, and also I really like the different animals and aspects and elements and everything, really like normal and nice.
Yeah.
And super accurate.
Yeah. No, they are archetypes as well. And I was, and I was like feeling really angry at this one person who is a dear friend. At the same time, like I was also angry at myself for placing me in this position where I felt like I've been really like feeling like I'm not able to be comfortable in their presence, like to be truly like allow myself to feel peace, or like that I can trust that I'm like sort of undisturbed when I'm not want to be disturbed, or allowed to go into that depth of feeling where I'm like at my most peaceful. Because this tendency to disturb, and I'm also struggling how to approach the subject to them. And this woman she gets she talks a lot, and it's always something she has done. And like basically, if I feel that I could put on she wants someone to say, yes, you're good. Like that's the length of the intellectual discussion I have with her, or emotional discussion is like, yes, I do care for her, I do love her as a friend, but I also feel that I'm like really have to gonna have to not put myself in this position where she has like this kind of influence over me, because last night I was actually awake up quite long into the night and being really quite angry because I felt that she is like not allowing me even the opportunity to be myself. And also there's the fear of me that if I ever tell her about this, she's gonna take it really bad. I think this is very probable actually, that she's gonna get very upset, very defensive. She's very, very sensitive to criticism, which I think is quite typical of those with these kind of tendencies. Once again, I want to make sure this vampire is something that exists into certain levels within us all.
And how would the trickster's shaman in you deal with the vampire?
Here I'm going to say the very truth of this is that the only times I'm 100% connecting with the trickster shaman is during ritualistic ceremonies. I don't necessarily need drugs to do that, but I need hours of like own space, meditation.
And how could we integrate that into our daily life? The trickster.
I would say through meditation, like to all feelings, all thoughts, welcome them and allow them, let them flow, let them come. Like even behind the most difficult thought is freedom, or a difficult feeling, no matter what the feeling is. Once the feeling is felt and released, there's like, thank you, God, lies always behind, especially the difficult feelings. Especially the difficult feelings once we let them go. But so the only times I'm fully comfortable of really connecting with the trickster shaman persona is either when I'm like in deep meditation on my own sum, or then in ceremonies where you're sort of allowed. Actually, it's like the whole ritual is that you're to teach us that we are both separate and one, because often we try to maintain a connection like a little bit for like on a like more like we, instead of just letting go and like then connecting once we're like completely let go.
There's a taking back power.
I think
I emphasize the back part.
Yes, I think like the trickster, my shamanistic.
So that's very psychological.
Advice to myself would be to, when in uncertainty, as long as I'm uncertain about what to do, limit the amount of contact I have. And in ceremonies, I've actually been in ceremonies with this one person. I've seen her I've seen her act out her vampiric persona in the ceremony. And I remember she was like dancing. I could feel her like wanting to come towards me, and she was coming towards me. But in that state, I'm very like, I blocked her. It's simple as that. I blocked her. I did not allow her to come near to me. So she went to another healer. Somebody else. Yes, exactly. The one next to me. Exactly. Sorry?
Other healer.
Another healer. Yeah, it was like that a little bit. It was.
Hey, who said the quote? Go to room, close the door, light the candle. Who was the?
Austin Osman Spare.
Austin Osman Spare.
Yes, Austin like Austin Osman. OSMIN, spare, I think he was can't remember. I think he was a painter. He had a stroke and couldn't paint with his right hand anymore, so he trained himself to paint with his left hand, if I remember correctly. I think he got it was
I didn't know.
during the London Blitz,
think it's
maybe got but a little bit.
Do you have? Where did you?
Go to the room, do what? And
I
light
don't
a
remember
candle.
like that.
Go to your like close the door, light a candle, dim the lights, know that you're in good company. Like no matter what it is, it's you. Just accept it.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
No,
Own
I
your
was
shit.
after this quote also that was something like go to the room, close the door, and light the candle, or how did that quote go?
It was like go to your room, close the door, light the candle, dim the lights, and it was like how to meditate, like
Yeah.
on
Know that you are in good company.
Yeah.
That's a good guide to meditate.
This is
Yeah, that's the most 101.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And give respect to your good self. Like,
Yes.
wow, after all these negative thoughts, I still was like, okay,
Still
I
able.
see you, bye bye. I go this way where it's
Yeah.
love and
I'm still
happiness.
able to love. I'm still
Yeah.
able to shine. Like even though I'm sometimes like.
And
Even
we're
the
all
dim
here to
shine, yeah.
learn. We're all here to learn.
Yes.
A baby falls down 10 times before he even starts to learn how to walk.
Human relations is about are you making the shelter or the safe, and then the other one has you prepared your full safety, but doesn't like it or find any safety in it, and that's the conflict in the relationship where people move on to the next one. Yeah.
Can I say something? Sure, maybe. So
Yeah.
I learned because I'm very sensitive, and then like I am always, about the good intentions and toward the light, and But then I got sick because I didn't. Got weak. I somehow everything, and then I was so lost and like, what happened? What the fuck? And and then I know also like when I was strong, and then when I was studying about shamanism, basic stuff, something about like you can protect yourself, you can learn to for example through the chakras.
Yep.
Like how you what everything represents what is the how you can make it stronger, what chakra and stuff like that. And I was doing it, but then I forgot about it for a long time, everything, and then I said out loud, like when I was like, I wish I could like remember about where did it disappear and everything. I forgot about it, stuff, and then when just a little bit came back to my mind, I was like, yes, because it's a little bit, but then there has been a lot of time also that can teach you a lot more also about some stuff. But now I don't know if I'm talking about Trikster or shamanism or just
No, it's you're like the
like
process of
latest.
the process of remembering, the forgetting and remembering is like once again the light and the shadow, how like they dance, and that's dance that we are partaking in either as enlightened beings or not. We are still like it's still there. It's still always there, going from light to shadow, and the light in the shadow, and the shadow in the light, and the light to shadow, and dun dun dun, like all the time. So like this.
Reflection, always reflecting.
Like, in a sense, all that you need to know will always be within you. And there are, like, hence rituals. Prayers, I think, is one of the best forms of doing magic. is because like, and here I see, the more truthful the prayer, that's the power to, because when is it that we pray the most is when it's our deepest, darkest. That's when we like. That's when you reach for whatever it is. Whatever it is, you ask, please, grant, please. I need help now. Now I'm in such a place that I can't do this anymore alone. And I don't know. It might just be a trick of the mind. It might just all be psychology. I don't know. But every time I've been in that place and I've fallen, like prayed, that now, like things. That is when things start to turn in towards the light. And the more we
praise, so to speak, plane crash.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe that it was
future.
like once you reach out for anything, you reach out for anything. Like when you're. Yeah. I would like to start. If are there any more questions that I was?
It's so funny because usually lectures they ask, okay, so any questions?
Oh really?
Usually everybody is quiet.
Oh.
But now it's so interesting, so everybody wants to talk.
Awesome. Well, is there anyone who wants to say something? Has anything?
I want to talk about that the energy which flows all over the universe.
Yep.
What you call it?
Energy.
Energy.
Yeah. I would call it energy, like life force, whatever. Expansion. I mean, it's a Big Bang is a little bit misleading because that implies that it was something that happened long ago and created the universe. Actually, what happened long ago was the beginning of the big expansion. So the Big Bang is still happening and happens all the time, all the time.
Yeah, the center of the universe is
here,
right now, me.
Yeah.
And it's expanding, yeah.
We are all the latest
Donita
expansion
left of me is the center of her universe, thus the universe. Yeah, you're the center of the universe. So mine. Hello.
Hello.
Buono estante.
It's like a mirror.
I'm going to check with Janne and then I'm going to actually return to your question a little bit in order to close this, unless there's so many other Janne had
the energy that everywhere is, I would name it plainly still nutritious particles, like nutritious matter particles.
Nummy particles.
And it's consumance. And even though the consumance is like all about metaphysical metamorphoses,
yep.
gases and light and stuff that we can't really reach easily at all. That's still the energy. Because anything that we experience from is a participation in the whole, which is a lot of matter circulating. So then the happiness is the mastery of the matter out of the subject, of course.
Oh, that is good. That is good. Don't have any much. Anyone else who wants to say before I'm gonna close the speech? Okay, I'm gonna just quickly to the subject of energy, and this is this I also find to be one of the big things when it comes to magic or the energy. The energy mastery or whatever you want to call it. So there are a couple of things, and one is to feed that what you want to grow, that feed that and water it and care for that those parts of your being that you want to see flourish, and be that which you want to achieve in the space. AG, you want to be peaceful. I want to achieve a peaceful world, shall we say, or like a peaceful space to be in. go to the nature and find peace and like breathe in peace, breathe out peace, find peace in mind, find peace in body. Then when you're in a place of chaos, be the peaceful place in the chaos. That's another one of the work of the shaman, is to know this. To when his tribe or his people are like upset, distressed, the shaman is the one who soothes them. He's the father or the parent of the tribe. And he does this like basically by example, by being in the space that what she wants the space to achieve. And the other is like very briefly, I will just let like the subject of magic and energy is like all is vibration. This is one I mentioned law of attraction there at one point. All is vibration. If you want to achieve something, like attract something, you need to match the vibration of that which you want to achieve, that which is used. Let me say it's like much deeper than what the book The Secret tries to make you understand. It's not just about thinking, oh, I want a car, or I want to be rich and famous, I want to be rich and famous. It might work to some extent, but the truth of it is that you have to embody it. You have to embody it in order to really achieve it, or like to really truly be it. And hence again, the shaman songs and the music of the shaman is also methods of reaching certain wavelengths to attract certain energies that match that wavelength. And
it's like what you seek.
yes. 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 So.
Which is why we're all here.
Oh.
A little, yeah. I see, like, yeah, all little Trikster shamans.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it happens.
Thank you for being so open and revealing
thank you.
your magic tricks.
Yes, I don't know if I will get any points of that in the League of Magicians, but like they're usually like, you know, very uptight about keeping their secrets. You know, a magician never reveals his secrets, but you know, I'm that's why I'm a fool.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan Bolin. I also want to say that if you're interested in taking part in Astro Humaniora in the future, you can add me on Facebook. My name is Benjamin Klingstedt, and just write that you're interested in being part, and then I'll add you to the group. Thank you.